The apartment was small but cozy, perched on the edge of a quiet Tokyo neighborhood. It was perfect for Hiroshi, a single man working long hours, happy to have a space to call his own. At first, life there was uneventful, even peaceful. But soon, strange things began to happen. It started with little annoyances, a missing carton of milk, a half-eaten sandwich left on the counter. Hiroshi shrugged it off, thinking he'd simply forgotten. But the incidents kept piling up. A glass, once left in the sink, reappeared on the kitchen table. His shoes, always neatly lined by the door, were often found slightly out of place. Hiroshi's neighbors dismissed his concerns. "It's nothing," they said. "Maybe you're working too hard." But something about the apartment felt wrong. It was a subtle, creeping sensation, like being watched by unseen eyes. One night, Hiroshi woke to a sound, a faint creak, the kind a house makes when it settles. But this wasn't the house. It came from his bedroom door. He turned on the light, his heart racing, only to find the door ajar. He told himself it was the wind, yet the windows were closed. The next day, he installed a lock on the bedroom door and bought a small camera to monitor the living room. It wasn't paranoia, he thought. It was precaution. That evening, he set the camera up, positioned it to face the kitchen, and left it running overnight. What he saw the next morning would haunt him forever. The footage began innocently enough. Hours passed and nothing happened. Then, at 2:13 a.m., the screen flickered. Something moved in the corner, a faint shift in the ceiling. Hiroshi leaned in closer, his blood running cold. A square panel slid open. A pale hand reached out, followed by the rest of her. A woman. Thin, gaunt, her hair hanging in greasy strands around her face. She moved with eerie precision, climbing down into the kitchen as though she had done this countless times before. She opened the fridge, eating methodically, not in a rush, as if she belonged there. Then she turned and walked into the living room. Hiroshi's stomach tightened as she approached the camera. Her face came into view, sunken eyes, dirt-smudged cheeks, a slack, emotionless expression. But it didn't stop there. The woman wandered through the apartment. She stood in the doorway of Hiroshi's bedroom, motionless, staring at the closed door. She reached out, her hand grazing the handle. Hiroshi couldn't breathe as he watched her linger, just inches away from where he had been sleeping. The woman wandered through the apartment. She stood in the doorway of Hiroshi's bedroom, motionless, staring at the closed door. She reached out, her hand grazing the handle. Hiroshi couldn't breathe as he watched her linger, just inches away from where he had been sleeping. Hours later, she returned to the kitchen and climbed back into the ceiling, closing the panel behind her. The room fell silent once more. Hiroshi replayed the footage, hoping he had imagined it. But the details were there. The fridge left open, the same faint creak of the bedroom door. She was real. She was living in his home. He called the police immediately. They arrived within the hour, searching every corner of the apartment. When they reached the ceiling crawl space, one officer hesitated. Then he climbed in, flashlight trembling. He called the police immediately. They arrived within the hour, searching every corner of the apartment. When they reached the ceiling crawl space, one officer hesitated. Then he climbed in, flashlight trembling. They found her. She was curled up on a dirty mattress, surrounded by stolen food, clothes, and what looked like pages torn from Hiroshi's mail. She didn't resist when they pulled her out, her expression blank, as though none of this was unusual. The officers explained she was likely homeless, using the crawl space as her shelter. But that didn't make it less horrifying. She had been there for months, coming down at night to move freely through his apartment while he slept. Hiroshi moved out within a week, but he could never shake the feeling that someone was always nearby, watching. Even in his new apartment, he found himself staring at the ceiling, waiting for the panel to slide open.